Hi everybody, welcome back to English 247, and this is for our last class before the final examination for Tuesday, July 9th, where we are finishing up with Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl and the Awakening. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about paper number 2 and the final examination. So you can see in the notes below that paper number 2 and any revisions you might be electing to do for paper number 1, those are due on Thursday, the 11th of July at 9 a.m. via PDF to my email, which is Ruiz, R-U-I-Z, at gcc.mass.edu. And if you're doing a revision, you need to submit in the original with my comments on it, along with your revised copy. The final examination will be posted on Thursday, the 11th of July at 9 a.m. And that will be due 24 hours later. So that will be due on Friday, which is July 12th at 9 a.m. I anticipate that you should spend somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 to 3 hours working on the final exam, which is what you would be doing in a face-to-face class. What I will do is give you 2 essay prompts to choose from and ask you to write on one. And it is open book, open notes, so you can use all of the course resources if you'd like. And I'm certainly not expecting anything as well written or well developed as you would do in a paper, but you still should be able to have an introduction, a body, a conclusion, and you should be able to synthesize some of the major points that we've been talking about over the course of the semester. You can see also in the notes below I have a miscellaneous section. Final grade should be available on my GCC by Tuesday, July 16th, or contact me after the 16th for your final grade. As you know, I'm not using the grading program in our Moodle site, so you need to check on my GCC for that. In terms of talking about incidents in the life of a slave girl and the awakening, and I pulled out my 2 books here, The Awakening and Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, and this was on reserve at one point in the GCC library. And I was thinking about how I've taken so much for granted. I've taken for granted that I could access these books. I've taken for granted that I could read these books. I've taken for granted that I could teach these books. We live in very challenging times, and we can't take things for granted. There is no guarantee that we would always be able to access these books. There is no guarantee that we would always be able to read these books. There is no guarantee that we would ever be able, or that we will always be able to study these books in an academic classroom. So I urge you to be very aware, politically and socially, during these very challenging times. One of the attendance questions I had asked you was about, or actually one of the points that I had made in one of the videos was about why Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl was not part of my required readings when I was in K through 12, and why it is that so many people share the same experience. And in the attendance question, somebody had addressed that and I had responded back. And certainly it seems like there are social and political forces as to why these texts might not be more widely known. So as we move forward to thinking about the miscellaneous section in the notes below, I realized that it's not easy keeping a sense of community nowadays. So I started a Facebook page that's called Professor Lillian. So if you wanted to stay in touch with classmates and or with me, feel free to join, and I've got the link below. I also have a farewell message for you from a very good friend of mine. She is Biscotti Cappuccino the Pug, and I've got the link for that to wish you the farewell. And There's no attendance question today. I wanted to keep things short and sweet because ultimately I know you're working on paper number 2 and getting ready for the final exam. So no attendance questions, so you can work on paper number 2. And if you are in the extremely wonderful position of having completed paper number 2, well, then you can focus on preparing for the final examination. A great way to prepare would be to read all of the discussion forum responses from your classmates and my responses in turn. Again, you're not required to respond to your classmates, though some of you elected to do so over the course of the semester, but you are required to have read all of their responses and my responses in turn. Again, rewatching class videos or thumbing through some of the text, another good way to prepare. I'm assuming that at this point you have read all of the text. Certainly if you have not, this is definitely something that you want to do. And just rereading the class notes that I have at the bottom of all of our class videos. So, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. And the final exam will be posted on Thursday at 9 a.m. Take care. Bye-bye.